English with Deck. A lot of people say Monday is the hardest day of the week. Things are sort of out of sync because of the weekend, or everyone is going back to school, back to work, so things move a little slowly, or at least slower than normal. And, I'd agree. Definitely, I have noticed on Mondays, less productivity happens. For example, the house needs a bit more of a thorough tidy. Maybe the morning schedule is a bit out of whack. Maybe Sunday night was a bit of a later night. The list is endless. However, this week, Monday wasn't too bad. It's actually now Tuesday, and it's Tuesday afternoon right now. But yeah, this week Tuesday was the questionable day, questionable morning, if you like. I'm not too sure what happened, but the the stars were not aligning over my house this morning. I think these days happen. It's just one of those mornings. Waking up late, breakfast got burnt. What happened after that? School uniform couldn't be found. Something was messy. La di da di da. The list goes on. So fingers crossed, the rest of the week will be a lot smoother sailing. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a bit about holidays and travel. When we are younger, a lot of us want to sort of see the world, take a big step, you know. And by taking the plunge and going traveling, especially when you're younger, it can be a very eye-opening experience. And I am not saying as if you are slightly more older and wiser, hopefully. Let's say in your 30s, 40s, whatever, even older potentially. It's never too late to sort of take that plunge, take that big step, if you like, and see the world, get out of your comfort zone. Hey guys, it's Deck here from Deck English with another episode of English with Deck. Let's go. So today I want to talk about, well, yes, traveling. And when life comes full circle. And today's episode is all about one of my students, who is a great guy, fun, really good to talk to, and never short of a quick answer to whatever I propose to him. Yeah, and he is turning 18 this summer, and he will be going around Europe later in the year. And during our latest lesson, which was actually yesterday, he was telling me all about his plans, the countries he wants to visit, and some training sessions he wants to do. He is a crazy dude. He is really into jiu-jitsu, very, very good at it as well, from what I've seen. He showed me some videos and stuff. And anyway, yeah, he was telling me about the training sessions he wants to join in over in Europe, the traveling he wants to do, the places he wants to visit. And as we spoke, I realized it brought back so many memories of my own time traveling. I remembered the excitement of planning everything, looking at maps, choosing hotels, making a ridiculous amount of plans. People say no plan is the best plan, but sure, that works. But also, there is an element of fun to planning things, especially when you are 18, 19, 20, that kind of age. And, as a slightly older person now myself, or even people I know who are older than me, I think planning takes a different form. It becomes much more logistical, much more, well, straightforward, not really, but much more matter of fact, you know? I guess when you are a little bit older and wiser, there you go, there's less room for error, quite more often than not. Anyway, so yeah, as I was reminiscing about all my times booking the hostels, booking my adventures ahead, and just researching, like hours of researching. Um, it really felt quite nostalgic. And then I also remembered, getting lost, missing connections, running out of money. It did happen. Yeah, I remember there was a few times in a few countries I pretty much ran out of money, and it was dicey to say the least. But I pulled through, made some, maybe more than a few, questionable decisions, but all of those experiences, well, firstly, they created brilliant stories. Now, at the time, maybe not so much, especially the questionable decisions. Um, but yes, they created amazing stories, fantastic memories, and more than anything, they gave me plenty of life experience. And not just life experience, actually, but human experience, like personal experience. And as my student A started to explain his plans, I also shared a few of my own experiences, my own adventures, my own sort of hints, tips, and tricks, if you will. And obviously, as the months go on before his trip, I will undoubtedly sort of help him out a little bit more when it's needed. And, it really reminded me there's sort of an element of, well, practice makes perfect. Or, well, you know, you live and you learn. That's the one I'm looking for. There we go. I forgot the phrase. Live and learn. So, of course, if we go on a holiday, especially as a backpacker, there are certain places to be more careful of than others. There's certain areas you're more likely to have your belongings taken from you, for example. Um, for example, you learn very quickly. It sounds obvious, but you learn very quickly, well, who to look out for, what to look out for, and sort of the vibe, the atmosphere of what to look out for. Because it's very easy, to go to somewhere new and be looking at everything through rose tinted goggles. If you're not sure what they are, well, those sunglasses. They're like a rosy pink color, and they make everything look ooh, wow, beautiful, bright, lovely. When we go somewhere new, that's how we look at the world around us. And it's very easy to forget about common sense, forget about maybe people who might take advantage of our naivety. Maybe they'll take our money, our belongings. And actually, luckily, I didn't have many. I think I had one time when that happened, but that's for another story. Anyway. um, so, yes, and just it sounds obvious now, but in the heat of the moment, remembering, not to carry all your money in one place, not to sort of show off your gadgets, and even not to sort of wear really flashy goods, flashy clothing when you're going somewhere where it might make you stand out for all the wrong reasons. Another classic one, if you do go for a drink and have a couple of beers, a few glasses of wine, make sure you keep your, well, wits about you. You know, sometimes it can be fun to overindulge, and it happens. Of course, if you don't drink alcohol, even easier to avoid this situation. But if you do drink alcohol, just be aware of what's going on around you. Maybe don't have that extra drink, two drinks, three drinks. Stop at one, stop at two. and you'll thank yourself later when you wake up with all your belongings. So, just being careful and aware of your surroundings. Definitely something I recommend to all people when they tell me they're going traveling for the first time. But anyway, as I was thinking all these thoughts and telling A about my experiences, I realized something. I'd become older. I'd become a slightly more experienced, human being, giving advice to an 18-year-old. And that was a real strange moment. In my mind, I don't feel like I've sort of changed that much from the days when I was traveling. I mean, of course, many, many things in my life have improved or changed for the better or worse. But in my mind, I'm still that similar person. I mean, emotionally, I'm very different, of course. But I realized, I'm not that person anymore. I am now the person who is sort of giving advice about the past, advice about taking trips as a first time traveler. And that was a really interesting realization. At what point did I become older and wiser? There it is. That's the phrase of the day today. Offering pearls of wisdom. But I think living and learning from experience is a really key point, and you do realize this when you're traveling. And it did give me this sort of mindset for life, which I still hold with me now. We make mistakes, and from those mistakes is how we learn. But it's not all doom and gloom. As I mentioned, as a traveler, as a holiday maker, you're experiencing new sights, sounds, smells. You're meeting new people from all parts of the world. And the architecture you'll see, the music you'll hear, it will stay with you for a long time. Maybe subliminally, maybe consciously, but either way, it will shape you into becoming that new person of tomorrow. Wow, so profound. But definitely, it opens your eyes, it opens your heart, and that is something which is not so easy to get by sitting on your sofa, sort of doing the same routine over and over again. So, absolutely, if anyone does ask about going traveling, ask about sort of seeing even another part of their own country, I always wholeheartedly say, do it. It's easier to sort of give up after trying than it is to never try at all. And also, of course, whilst you're traveling, whilst you're on your holidays, have fun, enjoy yourself. But obviously, without a doubt, err on the side of caution. And that means sort of prioritize safety. Be extra careful. People say live spontaneously. And that's a great attitude. There is nothing wrong with that. But there's spontaneous and there's, downright dangerous. So erring on the side of caution gives you that sort of safety net, that safety precaution, if you will. And if you can, just keep that to mind, I don't think you'll have a bad time at all. And just to say, I think my student, A, big shout out to you, mate, he's about to begin his own adventure, whilst I continue my adventure as I'm going. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, remember, English doesn't have to be difficult. Bye now.